The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, a.k.a. the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery. Welcome to Exit Team Nashua. Hi, welcome to Exit Team Nashua. My name is Jasmine, and I am your host. As always, I am very excited to be here. I am shooting my 4th show of the night, and all of them have been lovely, and all of them have been really inspiring, and there's been a lot of energy in the studio tonight, and so I'm really excited for this show right now, because our guest, I've inadvertently known for a couple years now, but we've actually never really met. We don't actually know each other really.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get to know you as you bare your soul on television.
Yes, perfect.
I want to know all the juicy details.
I'll tell you everything.
Perfect. So what brought you here?
Oh, well, my name is Amanda. I am an alcoholic.
Okay.
I am also a heroin addict.
Okay.
I am addicted to anything that I put into my body.
Yep.
I remember this is my second time around. I went to treatment in 2012 for my addictions to heroin, narcotics, opiates. Didn't think I had a drinking problem when I went. So that was in 2012. Fast forward to a little over 3 years ago, I had just gotten sober. I was at my second meeting, fresh out of the ICU of the detox. And you were there. And that was just over 3 years ago. And to be here and hear you and watch you and see you, it's amazing. It is so, I know it's supposed to be about me right now, but really about them. But it's just.
It is fun to make it about us, right?
All the time. Yeah, no, it's just so amazing. It's so amazing to see you here, and that's what I'm doing here is just trying to continue to reach out, and to be as helpful as possible, because that's when I first decided that I wanted to choose life. I wanted to choose to live. And I started reaching out for help. It was people like you who, jumped right out. And it was, I couldn't have done it alone. I needed support. I needed people who were willing to share their message, share their hope, tell the truth, and people to tell me what I needed to do. It wasn't just, if you want to try this, go ahead. If you want to try this place, go for it. I needed people like you to speak up, to tell me, if you want to live, this is what you're going to do. And so that's how I end up here, because people tell me this is what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's what I do today. I just do what people tell me, and I go where God would have me go, and I'm alive today because of it. So
it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's weird.
It's I'm just gonna give my life over to God, which sounds completely crazy,
right?
And God has a way better life planned for me than I ever did.
Oh my!
I remember I was in treatment and I was homeless. I literally was homeless, squatting in an abandoned house before I went to treatment. And so I'm in treatment and they're like, oh my God, you're the best client we've ever had. You're never asking about when you're leaving. And I'm like, yeah, it's because I'm homeless. I have nowhere to go. And so I'm not sharing this with the facilitators or my therapist or my case manager because I don't bear myself naturally, right? But in my head, I'm plotting and scheming about how am I going to get a roof over my head? You know what? I'm going to move into my mom. She's got that little spare bedroom. She lives in Pittsfield, New Hampshire. There's nothing around there, but I'm sure I could get a job at a gas station. I could find a boyfriend or something, right? And God was like, screw, pump the brakes, sister. Pump the brakes. And let me tell you, you're going to sell yourself really short. And he brought me all the way out here, and I had no idea what was in store for me. And I still have no idea what's in store for me. The craziest thing is that I have faith. And I live by that faith today. So I don't need to know what's in store for me. I just need to show up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it gets really good. So you're an alcoholic.
I sure am.
Welcome.
Yeah. Hey, thanks.
So like, when did it start?
My first experimental drinking, about 8th grade.
Okay.
And, 11, 12 years old. From the very beginning, I was a blackout drinker. And I'm a product of 2 alcoholic and drug addict parents.
Finally, someone from
Yeah.
my side of the tracks. Well, yes.
Yeah. My mother and father were both alcoholics and addicted to crack, whatever they could do, and my mother died of alcoholism. She was 41. And that was I had just mentioned I was in treatment in 2012. The month after I got out of that treatment center, she had just passed away. So that was difficult. That was very difficult to go through. And she was just a drinker at this time. So, she had experimented. I had experimented. My father had experimented. And I was told from both parties, your friends are going to drink. Your friends are going to try to smoke a little weed. Your friends are going to say, Amanda, why don't you try this? And he told me, you can't do that. You don't get to do that. You have a beast sleeping inside you. And I just literally on my way here had a conversation with my daughter, who's almost 11, and verbatim, he said, you know what your papa told me, because she was asking about the show and about what we do. And so, my dad said, you have a beast sleeping inside of you. You are a product of me and your mother. If you decide to experiment with these things like your friends, you're going to wake up that beast and you're not going to be able to put him back to sleep. And you're going to wish that you didn't. Just don't touch it. Don't touch it. And he wasn't coming at me with peer pressure. It was like, you're going to die if you try to do something like this. You are a product of alcoholics. You show alcoholic tendencies. I had the isms. I was insecure. Everything I did, I needed to do more of. Sports, dating, shopping, food, any electronic device I use, my whole life, I just needed to do more of everything. And, I had that God-sized hole my whole childhood growing up. And I grew up in Lynn, Massachusetts, for a little while. And I bounced back and forth in custody battles with my actively drinking mother and my father, who became a member of a fellowship that he got sober with. And I bounced back and forth for several years. And I went through a lot. There was a lot of trauma. There was a lot of physical abuse, emotional abuse. I have a brother that's 2 years older than me. He got a lot more of the physical abuse from my mom, from her drinking. But, even witnessing stuff like that as a young child.
It's very damaging.
It is.
I remember, so I was writing a book about my life story, and I actually stopped writing the book, not because of me, but because I didn't want to expose my family. So I stopped writing that book. But part of what I went through is trauma is I got physically beat, but for some reason I was the one that my grandfather would make sit on the couch, and I would have to watch him beat my cousins. And there is no more feeling of helplessness that I've ever experienced in my life when you can't save your loved ones. And I don't know why, but more often than not, my punishment was to sit there and watch. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you have to live with that.
Yeah.
And you have to
carry
it for
And now I have
people.
the savior complex.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see how that all loops in together. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard being the witness. It's hard pain is pain, whether it's happening to you or you're watching it or you're causing it. It is heavy. It's
Mhm.
heavy, to carry that around. And my dad gave my brother and I the same talk, and neither one of us listened.
Yeah.
Of course. And both of us fell into the same path. And yeah, I decided after 14 months of being sober, I did not put a mind altering substance into my body for, a little over 14 months. I said, I went to treatment for heroin and pills. So I'm going to try to drink. I think I can handle it. And five and a half,
How old were you then?
22.
22. Okay.
Yep.
So that's still like pretty young to fully concede that you can't drink.
Yeah.
It's just like bar age.
Yeah, right?
Mhm.
Exactly. And I had just had a child in 2010.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm allowed to say on TV, but I was actively using
Yeah, you can.
pills.
Whatever your truth is, we can honor it.
Okay. I was using.
Yeah.
I had left my family. I was like 17, moved in with a friend. I withdrew from high school because of some trauma that happened in school with a substitute teacher. So I was homeschooled. I graduated early. I had all this freedom. I was often drinking, daily. Sometimes just on the weekends, but I had all this free time, all this freedom. Got into a relationship with someone who seemed like me. The first time I saw him, he was putting something up his nose, and I was like, I'm gonna marry that guy, and I literally did a week later. No, I'm not kidding you. The insanity, right?
Yeah.
I was 18 years old.
YOLO.
Yeah, right. I was 18 years old, and we were divorced 4 months later, but I continued to see him. And we decided to get back to just to hang out. He was saying, let's hang out. I said, the only way I'm going to hang out with you tonight is if we don't use. Like, I'm back in Barnstead with my family. I don't want to be living
Barnstead, New
that life.
Hampshire?
Yeah.
Oh.
Right next to Pittsfield, right? I thought that was
like
funny.
a little place in nowhere.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Little hole in
Okay.
the woods.
Yeah.
And there's the last house on a dirt road. Couldn't make that up. And yeah, I said, I'll hang out with you. Like, I miss you too, but only if we don't use. I was using that night. I
Yeah.
was pregnant the month later, and my daughter came a month early, and she was sick. She was dying. She was airlifted to another hospital where she lived for the first month of her life. And while she was in a helicopter on her way, blue and not breathing, I was on my way to pick up my substance of choice at that time before going to the hospital, and that's where I was.
So there are some people that like might be watching that would be pretty judgmental to that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Which is like amazing that you can share so transparently, because there are so many women that are suffering in shame right now. And like, you can honor that truth, and you've gone through the healing process of it, that you can go on
Yes.
television and
Yeah.
share that, because you're about to get to, once we go through all this, how much better your life is.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome that you're sharing so transparently.
Yeah, and I obviously I carried a lot of shame,
Yeah.
for a long time, and like I said, she's almost 11, so to say that to her, to have her realize, like, this is why you were sick, this is the reason you got to go in a helicopter before your brothers, and this, it's hard. It was hard. It's not hard today. Like, you just, like, I stand in my truth unapologetically, and that is because, and I've had to do a lot of work to
Mhm.
get here, but it has saved my life. It has saved my life. It has saved her life. It saved her little brother's life. And thank God, but it that didn't happen overnight. After, she got home, and I tried to cut back,
Yeah.
and left to my own devices and without a solution and without a fellowship, without reaching out and asking for help, I will use every time. I will drink every time. And I did. And after a while, she ended up staying with my parents. I got a phone call that said, I was warned. My stepmom and my dad let me move in. And they said, she's here, and if you try to leave this house with her, we're going to have full custody of her that day. That's what happened. I left. They called me. They said, I have a court order in my hand. It says Macy has to be returned to the house. So months later, I finally ended up in treatment. And then, life did start to get good for a while. I met a guy, a normal person, and he wasn't someone like me. He wasn't an alcoholic, wasn't a drug addict. He was
How boring.
jeez. Yeah, what a life. Oh no, he was a great human being.
Yeah.
Very very much what I thought I needed at the time.
Yeah.
So I married him too. Yeah. A year. I at least went a year this time. We dated for a year. And he actually adopted my daughter. And he's an incredible father to this day. But yeah, that's because her biological father is still out there. And she's a very, very happy girl, today. And I think because I'm so honest with her and others about what happened in her infancy and in her delivery and in the year and a half following her birth, because I'm honest with her and others, she has the ability to understand today. And, she does know that she's adopted. She knows that both of her parents are drug addicts. And I think because I'm so open with her and the people closest to me and, my recovery community, I don't think twice that, I would be admitting it on TV or saying it to people I don't know. I don't have a fear of judgment anymore. And I think it's because a lot like I hear other people say is, I have nothing to hide today. I don't keep anything in. Actually, I keep stuff in, but I am not dishonest in any way. I feel like if I'm going to be the most useful vessel, to send God's message or, the message of recovery, that the only way you can do it is by being completely honest and transparent. And yeah, I'm sure there are women who feel a lot of shame around the situations that I was also in. I don't carry that shame anymore. I don't carry that guilt. I don't carry, I feel like I just super looped back to, the last topic, but I guess it's just really resonating with me at the moment. But yeah, there is no guilt or shame anymore. And I think that's huge for women to know.
Yeah.
Is it doesn't, and men who, have been absent with their children as well, that you don't have to live with it forever. And that was huge for me. And once I finally forgave myself for that kind of stuff and those choices and those things, it's a whole new life. It's a whole life of freedom. And I don't have to sit anymore and feel the guilt and the shame and the embarrassment. And when I feel those things, I want to numb myself. So that's what I do is I feel guilt, shame, remorse, resentment, bitterness. I'm gonna put a substance in my body, drink, drug, whatever, to numb those feelings so I don't have to feel them anymore. While I am numbing myself, I'm going to do some more questionable things that make me feel more guilt, shame, embarrassment. And then, it's just an insanity cycle.
Yeah.
And that's how I lived my life for so long. So long. Divorced. I was a terrible person. Terrible person. I was. I was a sick person with no solution, and I was dishonest in my active drinking. Once I decided that I was a heroin addict that could drink in safety, it took 5.5 years of a blackout. Basically, there's a 5-year portion of my life that I have very little recollection of, and I was raising kids at that time. I was in a marriage at that time. I was a full-time employee in those 5.5 years. And there are legitimate months of my life I have no recollection of. But in those times, I was dishonest. I was manipulative. I was unfaithful. I would cause harm to my friends, my family. I would drive intoxicated. I did a lot of really, really questionable things. It was not a good look for me. It was not.
What happened?
So I pray. I pray every day. And you know, what I pray to might look different to what everybody else prays to, and that's awesome. You know, that's cool, great. But I talk to God and I talk to the universe, and I daily pray, you know, for the things I'm grateful for, for the people I love. You know, I want to bring happiness and peace and prosperity to everybody around me, even people not around me. And I do that on a daily basis, sometimes 3-4 times a day. I prayed every night before getting sober, and I would literally, and it's so sad. It's sad. I might cry. I might not cry. But the only form of prayer I had in my life before was, God, please let me stay asleep. Don't wake me up. Like, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to drink anymore. You let my mom go in her sleep. Like, just let me stay asleep. And I literally said that almost every single night that I wasn't blacked out. Like, I was only halfway belligerent. That's what I said when I laid my head down on the pillow every night. I cried myself to sleep probably 5, 6 out of 7 days a week. And I woke up one day and I said, I don't want to drink anymore. I was already heavily withdrawing from alcohol. I was very, very shaky. You know, I didn't feel well. And I went into my bathroom where my husband was in the shower, my husband at the time, and I said, Toby, I got to stop drinking. And he said, you think? And I was like, ew. Thanks. But he was right. It wasn't my first time saying it, you know, but that's because I didn't want to live
And he
that
didn't
way.
drink, right? You were,
He was normal. He
Yeah.
could have a half a beer and put it down, you know, and it's like we could go out to dinner. I was the drunk that would go out to dinner with a group of people, and all of them would order drinks, and everybody would like get up and with half drinks left, and I'd be like, what are you doing? You know, everybody's like walking away from the table, and I would finish every single person's drink. And even if I have endless amounts of booze, I don't need to be drinking other people's half drunk drinks, half drank drinks. But you know, that's what I did. So I said to him, I gotta stop. I can't do this anymore. And if it was any other morning, I have booze in the house, I would have gone and, you know, slugged a few nips or like drank some Jameson out of the bottle, gone to work to deal with like the shakes. And I had all the booze in the house that day. I didn't want to drink it. I didn't want to put a drop into my body. And I can't explain that. I don't think that I was responsible for that. I think something intervened in my life and said, you're done drinking because I'm not done with you. And that's the only way I can explain it, really.
Did you go to detox?
I did.
Okay.
I went to the ER to say, well, actually, I went to work. And I'm like, I'm not good. This is not good. I think that my body is about to do something really scary. And it was. And I called my primary doctor and I said, can you call me in a prescription for Ativan or something? Like something isn't that what you give alcoholics that are trying to stop drinking? Do you have something for me? And I'm telling them my symptoms, and they're aware of my history. I was honest with my doctors about being an alcoholic actively. I just wasn't ready to stop. And yeah, they're like, no, you need to go to the ER. So I did, and I was admitted into the ICU, and I was there for 4 days. Yeah, I was there for 4 days, and I left and went straight to a meeting. And, you know, up to COVID, I had been to a meeting at least one a day since then. I knew where to go, and thank God I did. Mm-hmm. You know, because it's any fellowship is great. Any recovery program is great. I'm very grateful that I found my 12-step program because it has saved my life. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did at that point. I jumped into it, and I just celebrated 3 years of sobriety 3 days ago. Yes. Thank God. I've been 3 years without a drink, and my life is great today.
That's a miracle.
It is. act of God.
Yeah.
I just said that the other day. I'm like, that there is no other explanation. None. Like the fact that I could put 3 years together without having to put anything into my body.
Yeah.
And not just do that, but feel love and
Mhm.
happiness and freedom. And like I heard you say it, like, you don't think about it, you don't think about using. You don't want to use. You don't think about it. You don't have a desire to do it. You don't need it. And that's so true. Like I have zero desire. The obsession for me has been removed, and that's incredible. It's incredible.
I don't think about using and I don't think about not using.
Yeah.
I literally
Yeah.
just live life.
Yes, exactly.
As
Yeah.
a hopeless junkie.
Yeah.
Like literally, It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. So you have been like merited all these gifts of recovery that people say come.
Absolutely.
It's so hard when you first get sober to believe someone such as yourself.
Yeah.
It's just really hard because you've never experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to hang on and wait for the miracle to happen, but it does.
Yeah, it really does. It does. It does.
So to our viewers at home, anyone watching, family members, loved ones, recovered addicts suffering, still looking for help, people looking for resources for loved ones, just any of our viewers, like, what do you have to say to them?
I would say that all of us have different stories. We all come from different places, different backgrounds, different families, but we are not all that different, and we are not alone. And I think the biggest thing for people to know is, like, what is it going to hurt to reach out and ask for help? What are you going to lose? If anybody is as desperate as I was, they don't have much more they can lose. And if you can at least try this one last thing, for me, I had nothing to lose at that point. I had hit my spiritual bottom. I had hit the most pain I could have possibly hit. And, if reaching out and asking for help and just taking one step could save your life and change your life and improve every area and every relationship, why not try it?
Yeah.
That's what I would say, is just that one thing. Reach out, ask for help. That's what
Awesome.
I've got for that.
Beautifully said. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah.
It's been great having you.
Thank you.
I know, I love it. Thank you everyone for watching. Amanda has a very inspiring story. If anyone is looking to connect with her, thinks that she might be helpful for them, that's why she's here today, to be helpful to anyone that she can be. Please send us a message on our Facebook page. I'm a heroin addict. Send us a message. We will get it to her. For her to be able to help you. If you haven't done so yet, please hop over to our Facebook page. I am a heroin addict. Yes, that's right. I said I am a heroin addict, and give it a like. Thank you for spending your time with us, and we love you.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.